Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm teacher Roslina and I'm a MUET teacher teaching Form 6 in the historic city of Malacca. In this video, I'm going to show you how to start your individual presentation in part 1 of the MUET speaking paper. Without further ado, let's get started. When starting part 1 of the speaking paper, you need to remember these two things. One is that it should be short. The starting of your presentation for part 1 should take a maximum of 2 to 3 sentences only and not more than that. This is because the huge part of your presentation should be on your content points, your explanation and the elaboration for your content points. The next is, when speaking, you have to sound confident and natural. Confident means that you truly believe in what you are saying, and natural means you seem to be at ease when talking. It's like speaking in English is easy for you, and you do not have to stress about it. Let's now look at the sample question for part 1. Part 1 is of course the individual presentation. This is where you are given 2 minutes for you to present your individual opinion about the issue or the task given. Let's now read the instructions first. Instructions to candidates. The test consists of 2 parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is carried out first, followed by Part 2. Part 1. Individual presentation. You have 2 minutes to prepare. You have 2 minutes to talk. So for this task, you are given 2 minutes for you to prepare and 2 minutes after that for you to present on your own. Let's now look at the situation and the task given for candidate A. Situation. It is very nice to have a good friend. Suggest some ways of becoming a good friend. Candidate A. You have to give a presentation to your class. Talk about being a good listener. So after reading this question, the next thing that you need to do is for you to identify the key phrases for the situation and the task. So we know now that the situation is for you to talk about ways of becoming a good friend. And the key phrase for the situation is here. And we know now that the task for you, if you are candidate A, is for you to talk about being a good listener. And this here is the key phrase for the task. A good listener is a person who is ready to listen to another person and give support when the other person is facing some sort of difficulty. So your task in part 1 as candidate A is for you to talk about your opinion of why you believe that being a good listener is one way of becoming a good friend. So we now know the question and the task for part 1. But how do we start part 1? Let's now look at how you can do this. For the start of the individual presentation in part 1, you need to do these 2 things. The first thing you need to do is for you to do your greetings. Greeting means for you to say hello or good morning to another person like you normally do when you see them. In this situation, of course, there are going to be 2 examiners in the examination room and also the other candidates. So you can greet them this way. Good morning to the examiners and fellow candidates. Now, because there are more than one examiner and more than one candidate in the room, you would need to say examiners and candidates instead of examiner and candidate. This may not seem that important, but because this is a language paper, you need to be accurate with your plural form. So don't drop your S's in examiners and candidates. Another option of greeting is for you to simply say, "Good morning everyone." As a teacher, I would prefer for you to use this. Good morning, everyone pretty much covers everybody in the room. It is short and correct. Let's now move on to the second thing that you need to do when starting your individual presentation in part 1. It is for you to do the introduction to your situation and your task. This will involve mentioning your situation and your task. You need to do this because the other candidates will not know what question you got. You can do this firstly by mentioning the situation and the task in 2 separate sentences. Or if you like, you can join up the situation and the task in 1 sentence. Before we go any further, let me just talk to you about the do's and the don'ts of your introduction. When introducing the situation and the task, you need to remember to rephrase the situation and the task. Rephrase means you can use most of the words found in the sentence, but you need to add in some changes to the sentence to make it your own. Next, when mentioning the situation and the task, try to sound confident and natural. You can use phrases like, in my opinion, and others. If this video is helping you in some way, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel because it is going to help me create more videos. Now I would like to point out what you should not do when introducing your situation and your task. The first thing that you should not do is for you to simply read the whole situation and the task word by word. It sounds very odd that you want to read the whole situation and the task aloud to other people in the room, so don't do this. Also, you shouldn't say phrases like this. The question that I have been given today is, and then you read the question. So don't do this because this sounds forced and very far away from sounding natural. Let's now move on to the phrases that you can use to sound confident and natural. You can start the introduction of your situation and your task with these phrases. When stating your task, you can say, I believe that, it is in my belief that, in my opinion, I believe that. So let us remind ourselves again the situation and the task that you need to do in this question. So by now you should know very well of how to start part 1 of the speaking paper. Let's just go through the sample sentences that you can use to start your presentation in part 1. Good morning, everyone. There are many ways to become a good friend. In my opinion, being a good listener is one quality of becoming a good friend. Good morning to the examiners and fellow friends. I strongly believe that a good friend is a person who is a good listener. Just like that. It is quite simple. And after this, you can straight away start talking about your content points. So let me just remind you again, to start part 1, you need to have the greeting and the introduction. It needs to be short with a maximum of 3 sentences only. This video ends here, and remember to check out this next video. I will see you soon. Goodbye and take care.